All right, and there we go. Alrighty, guys. Welcome to the House of Holocrons, episode 27. We apologize as we will not have one up for Spotify this round, so this will be a YouTube live exclusive fun time, and we look forward to having you all here. Of course, there are a lot of amazing things to talk about. We have new Mando. We have a species drop from Jedi Survivor that could change and canonize a lot of amazing things. And of course, we have the Bad Batch episode that recently dropped. So, no offense to the Bad Batch people out there right now, but honestly, I feel like we should probably start with the least interesting of those three things. And let's talk about this most recent episode of Bad Batch. It was, to put it bluntly and quickly, it was heartwarming. It was extremely emotional and set up a lot of development for characters, but kind of ended abruptly, and it was very classic. Like, oh, of course they got caved in. Oh, of course they don't have this
Yeah.
fuel source. Oh, of course Omega found the fuel source. Oh, so much of it, they'll be rich forever, but they won't
You
be
know,
able to take any of it.
it almost seemed like she learned nothing from her prior episodes where she was learning not to get too ambitious and
Mhm.
finding something valuable. Yeah, we I'd figure it's gonna be an emotional episode because the post, losing Echo and then moving on,
Right.
which I thought was convenient too, is when they're like, we should contact Echo for help. He's like, oh no, he turned his transponder off. It's like that sounds very convenient to not just bring Echo back immediately to save him.
Yeah.
Which I get it, because that would be kind of, we just left you, but come back.
Echo come back. But no,
Um,
it was kind of, I wouldn't, it just felt like there was so much of this episode was like predictable. You're like, oh yeah, the ship got stolen. Okay, so they're probably gonna have to go find it. And I honestly kind of thought they were gonna at least find the ship by the end of the episode or see it in the distance or something. But it is entirely just up in the air, and we don't know, like, at
I
all.
know that the whole deal is they're supposed to be adaptable, and
Right.
losing Echo is not supposed to affect them, but man, did it affect them.
Oh yeah.
Which, uh, I was, I sometimes read the review of the episode to see if somebody pick something up, and one of the things that somebody was saying was that why not use the clone that is literally designed to have heightened senses? Why isn't he the lookout? Which is Hunter. I mean, that's his whole thing. Like you see it because he actually hears somebody stealing the ship way before anybody else is, and he's inside the place.
Yeah,
The
that's a really
wrecker
good
is,
point.
yeah.
Wrecker's kind of a big brute, but at the
He
same
should be there
time,
lugging all the stuff out.
right? Yeah, or even but at the same, with Omega, like, hey, stop being broody and go like watch the ship.
Why is it one of them at the ship?
Right? Yeah, there's two of you there. One of you go to the ship. I don't know if that person. Yeah. Well, she Omega got a lesson in why to cope with things, but we don't know how much she will fully develop in it. She
Yeah.
definitely rounded out towards the end of the episode and was like, we'll find a way out, like we always do. And it's like, yeah, but like
Don't
that's
say
every
it.
episode. Yeah, that's every episode. You guys just barely make it by, and
Yeah, somebody messes up. Usually her. Um, I get she's the young child learning.
mm,
But yeah, they stuck to the formula really tight on this one.
yeah.
Um,
And honestly, I don't know why Echo leaving caused an infight between Tech and Wrecker so badly. Like they never did that when Echo was there, and he's not even one of the original brothers. I guess maybe it's just that, like, after losing Echo and Crosshair, maybe they're just too much time directly around each other. That also kind of was a little bit with, like, why are they fighting? Why are they now having like these little, like, brotherly spat where they're just blaming each other for every little thing and like constantly just bickering? I'm surprised Hunter let it go on for as long as he did before he just kind of told him, "You're not helping." They have, another thing that I've always found fun too is why is every single gas and or fuel source on Star Wars in the entire galaxy, it's like extremely volatile in its raw form, and then extremely useful in its refined form. It's almost like a coaxium, this Tabana gas, all these kind of things.
it's a big sci-fi trope.
Yeah.
I mean, you get it in a lot of stuff. Um,
Kind of makes me think. I wonder if that's how they all got to space travel is because so many of these planets have these extremely crazy powerful fuel sources, and because
yeah.
if we weren't running out of if we didn't have to use our normal fuel we use for our rockets here, and we had an even more powerful fuel, we would immediately use it.
Well, the funny thing too is the episode kind of had a mix of teasing of two different genres. So at the very beginning, it had a very heavy Western music and very look almost a Western landscape. And then they talked about this precious fuel and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Almost get remind me of Dune. We got neither of those. We got what in the movie industry, which I've learned from what's that show about the community? This is
Okay.
referred to as a bottle episode, um, and normal filming, which is like basically essentially like an episode where it's like where they save money and they like put the main characters in a small space and they don't change the space, but then they push them in a tight space and they're supposed to learn from each other.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. I can see that.
Yeah, yeah.
This is definitely a
Like
big one too. I know a lot of people are going to really feel seen by this, and that's fine. I know a lot of the spectrum community for autism and other many things. They're kind of claiming tech now, which makes sense. The line between um, what I should say is like spectrum and genius is honestly very close. There's a lot of extremely intelligent people who are just socially awkward as all get out.
yeah,
It's just how it works. People who are amazing with engineering and amazing with tools and amazing with science and math, there's a reason their brain works that way. We need them. I'll stand here and talk to everyone though. Don't worry, I got the talking part. I can handle that.
yeah. Well, honestly, you don't necessarily have to bottle it in that aspect because
Yeah.
it's all about like we hurt in different ways. We have
Yes.
our own
True.
ways of expressing emotions. We go to men or more masculine in general is taught to bottle things up to keep things to your chest.
Yeah.
And some process things by doing other like I said, if you have trouble expressing emotions, I know I do a lot of times. um, you may not see that somebody's hurting, but they are.
Right.
and
Yeah. Tech summed that up really well.
and I could probably see that might be why he was so distracted in this episode.
Hmm.
um, maybe it definitely there none of their heads were in the game. I know that was
Right.
supposed to be the kind of the plot, but if we go under the psychological layers, I know I'm taking a psychology class in college, so I'm gonna. But
Yeah. Hey, I got an A
like
plus in my high school psychology class.
it's mandatory for my engineering degree, but um, before we're getting a bachelor's. But if you pull back the layers, even if we assume that they did write it that way,
Hmm.
that um, yeah, there is some underlying. You can tell they're not working the same way. There's somebody missing,
Yeah.
and it's either that because one they relied on that voice. Because I don't know if Echo is just that more kind of that that more wiser voice. That hey,
Yeah.
let's not put Wrecker out. Look out. Let's not send or let her go by herself
Yeah.
down the cave because we should know by now that she's still she's not fully matured and she'll
Right.
do something. It's just comes with age. It happens.
Well, I also know, I'm sure you also have far more understanding of this than I do, but just like within the uh, Renaissance reenactment group that we're in, or like within my Viking stuff, when a team member that you've been with for years leaves, it does like emotionally like bring you a little down because you're like, man, we're not going to be what we used to be. And I'm sure with military aspect, when you throw
Well,
combat situations and things like that into it.
it's closer to losing a family, like almost losing a family member they're
Hmm.
dying because especially that aspect because they're literally a squad and they everything together. They
Yeah.
share their most intimate, vulnerable moments together. That's the thing with combat. You risk your life for each other. You fight for each other. You spend every waking moment, and then they're gone.
Yeah.
And Tech points out, he says they're not. He was an original member, which is true, but I think that was just him kind of trying to in his mind not
Hmm.
dwell on the emotional aspects. He was an original member. We were trained to move on, but in his secretly he's trying not to think about we just lost Echo.
Yeah, he's trying to give himself an easy out to be like, well, I don't
Yeah,
care. We'll get over this because he was never a part of Clone Force 99 to begin with. But and that is almost how you know he's hurting because he's
yeah.
trying to cover it up so quickly. And then
It could also be putting on a face for her as
yeah,
well too.
yeah. I mean, that's literally like they look at her like a younger sister or some type of ward. I wouldn't say a daughter, but definitely like a younger sister. And they're gonna do everything they can to ultimately make her life as easy as possible because they also are the reason she's with them. Yeah, she chose to come along, but they really could have at any moment been like, no, and just like kicked her out on Camino. She would have been dead by now, but worked out better
Yeah.
for her. Okay, another thing I know that Jess hasn't mentioned in chat yet, but I know she was mentioning in the episode when she was sitting there meditating. I fully expected her to have like some weird, crazy levitation thing, and then in this one, when she was holding the rock, I was like, "Are they really about?" Like, they keep teasing us with these little moments where we think she's about to do some force power, and she doesn't. I'm fine with that. I think it's almost hilarious for them to just keep teasing people with this: is she force attuned or not?
I'm glad they're not doing it this early, this right
Mm-hmm.
away.
Yeah.
Man, she's not Grogu. She's not somebody that's dealt with, force sensitive. She's not easily force sensitive inclined like Grogu species was. So I think it'll be just like, maybe small stuff that we're not seeing it. Eventually, we see it and like, oh yeah, we were putting the pieces together, but we weren't unsure. Or you just are looking at something that was never planned.
Right. Exactly. Or even better, to really piss a lot of people off, just for funs and giggles. She is a clone who is force sensitive. She becomes Star Killer.
Well, I mean, I could still see it. It stinks because they still got the actor that can do it.
Right. Sam
But
Witwer's right there.
I mean, and that's one of the theories is that she's basically the experiment, like the prototype for Palpatine cloning
hmm
himself. Since the whole idea of can you clone somebody's force sensitive? Can you
Right.
give a clone the ability to use the force?
Or if nothing else, the Kaminoans would have also tried very hard to make their own force sensitive creatures because that would have been like if they could do that, then they would have had an unstoppable army. People would have paid them millions to make force users under their control. Um, but another big thing in this episode too that I think was one of the biggest like emotional moments for me and really like set things up was Sid and how she honestly looked like she did not care like they could have reported in they were dying and she would have been like, hey, good for you guys, because even
Yeah.
when Tick threw it back in her face about like, hey, we saved your butt twice now, she got snippy with him and then hung up because she knew she was in the wrong.
Yeah. She just didn't want to give him the time they were out of her face, and she
Mm-hmm.
had something else to worry about, which did not seem near as important. I could be wrong. We could be, showing something else in the
Yeah.
next couple episodes, maybe, but I don't believe it. I mean, it goes to what the warnings that we've been hearing about her from other people that, hey, she eventually betrays who she works with.
Yeah, and I think that's gonna happen here pretty soon. I wouldn't say like the next two episodes, but I see it happening. That might not be. That'll probably lead up to finale things instead of it's like the catalyst. That's like
Yeah.
the powder keg going off as her betrayal.
When she starts basically probably seeing when she stops seeing any value she can get off them, and then maybe she'll sell them out.
Yeah, and then Crosshair comes and gets them, and then we start all that.
I'm surprised this happened sooner because they really haven't brought any money.
They have not brought any
I
money.
think this is the first episode they probably might.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if they are able to keep all of that resource that they were able to collect, then yeah, they're Ipsium. Yeah, if they're able to collect
Yeah.
and keep all of this Ipsium, then they make a pretty good penny. I love, of course, just by just Star Wars good luck though. They found a cavern just filled with it, an older one that is supposed to have been mined out, but it happens. It's Star Wars. It just happens. But yeah, the Sid thing was big. The kid who stole the ship too, like, wow, that one kid is really ballsy, and I'm very excited to see what they're gonna find with him because since he had a mask and everything, like, he's fully covered. That's gotta mean something, or like he's gonna be a species or the child of someone who I think is important. I don't really feel like they just like fully cover some glove shitto.
Or how easy is it to steal a ship? I mean, do they not have any kind of? I mean, at least like in our vehicles, we at least have alarm systems.
Yeah.
We have logs, and he just like walked right in. It even sounded like he took the time to splice anything, which is the Star Wars version of hacking.
Mm-hmm.
It just he walked, started it, and left.
Well,
So
not to
it's like,
mention though, at least later on we do hear like he turned the transponder off, so they can't even find it. They have no
yeah.
idea where the Marauder is.
Well, that's what we kind of see him doing, I believe, or
Yeah,
they are doing, because we don't really know who they are.
right.
Um, yeah. It was kind of like I'm surprised that I've always, that's one thing too, is like you watch Star Wars movies and then like they step out of the ship and they leave it wide open. Like how
Mm-hmm.
come this doesn't happen more often? Well, got my answer. It
That's it.
does.
That's a good point there, Jess. This is going to be some heartstring stuff. They have to help a group of people, and they lose that profit. Yeah, they have to use the Ipsium to like defend this town from raiders or something.
No, what the Epsilon's gonna do is they're gonna collect as much as they can, and they're gonna build a little metal pod, and they're gonna explode themselves into the
And
atmosphere.
just launch out into the atmosphere. But I could also see
Well,
him doing
yeah,
that. I could also see him having to
yeah, they're
sacrifice everything and save the people who stole their
yeah
ship.
they're too close to getting a profit. There's no way they're gonna be able. At this point, why now? Why start now making
Yeah,
money?
screw it. Just let it keep doing the thing. I know then that the next episode, I I don't wouldn't say they're gonna find the Marauder by next episode, but I also wouldn't be mad if they did because
Are they even gonna get it back
right.
at all?
Well, this one ended very almost abrupt. Like I know it wasn't a short episode, but I don't know if it was just me. It felt
So
short.
short.
Yeah, it felt
Well,
really short.
you know the next episode name is called Retrieval, so maybe they are trying to get it
I
back.
mean, yeah, that I just feel like there's got to be something else though
Message
because they've
retrieval of
never right, they've never ever just
yeah.
made the title that obvious.
I mean, it's about time they get away from it because it is an imperial looking ship. I mean,
Right.
so I'm like wondering how they go places and people aren't freaking out when the ship shows up.
That is true. It's a very one of a kind Lambda shuttle style
Yeah.
ship. So yeah, that's a good point. It is maybe time to move on to something new and better. Like Mando did. Mando got his new N1 Starfighter. Let's get something shiny for the Bad Batch. Which is a great segue into Mando trailer.
Their Lambda starship. They're
Yeah.
just sitting on each other's lap.
Yeah, same kind. Yeah, Omega and Tech are just in that little bubble in the back.
I was just imagining Wrecker shoved in the.
Oh yeah,
bubble.
that would be
And
better.
The two screamed in together, and then she's on his lap.
Yep. So but yeah,
Yeah.
we do have a little teaser trailer. Like a.
Well, we are less than 2 weeks away, I believe.
Mm-hmm, yep, less than
Yeah.
2 weeks away from Mando episode 1,
Yeah, we're getting closer.
which is going to be amazing. And let's see, we have then.
We got a little bit of footage drop. A couple seconds of footage.
Yep.
From Mandalorian. We got more trailers, more of the same. I think the only footage we got is the couple. I think it's like 9 seconds of footage.
Oh yeah.
Where he confronts and yeah, they discuss. He got Grogu back, which is to all those people that didn't watch Boba Fett.
Right.
And if I figured it out by the teasers, and yeah, Grogu's back.
And then we get the really awesome parallel. I think it was funny. I don't know if they meant to do it, but we have a parallel of Grogu spinning around in a chair while everyone's talking. And then there's also a time when Yoda does it actually in the meeting with like the Organa head and I always forget his first name for some reason. And Obi-Wan Kenobi, when they're getting ready for Revenge of the Sith and to like spread out, he's literally just like doing this in his chair, talking to both of them. And like then Obi-Wan says something and he's like, he just kind of like, huh? Oh,
When you don't have, when your feet can't touch the ground, I get it.
Yeah.
I want to see like the behind the scenes with the like he's by himself and he's using the force and he's just spinning in circles.
Yeah, I feel like it's also maybe just like because that species is so in tune to the force and smart that maybe they're just also like extremely OC or ADHD where it's like this is so boring. I'm around for thousands of years. I need entertainment.
Yeah, it's a mini elf that has magical telepathy. Super smart.
Yep. But I really am excited. There was another still shot I saw where they kind of show a bit more of the like jetpack scene, and apparently in the back, there's a split second of Boba. So yeah, that is gonna be really awesome to see. Who I'm sure he's gonna be with Din. He's he already doesn't like Bo-Katan, and I don't know how much they're going to be working together, if they're going to be fighting. I'm happy they're not dropping too much of that. They're not revealing the if they're going to work together or fight.
Yeah, it's interesting because Boba Fett and how they reinforced it with the show.
Mm-hmm.
He is not. They did it in the Clone Wars. He's not a big fan of the Mandalorian culture. He hates it honestly, and so it's seeing him if he goes to Mandalore, much assuming that's what they're trying to do, would be difficult for him. That's just not what he likes. It's just not.
Yeah.
It's not. It's something that his father didn't really get into. In the extended universe, before Mandalorian and everything, originally Boba Fett was the one who's going to originally go back and retake the Mandalorian,
Yeah.
kind of do what Din Djarin's doing. Um,
Well,
so
in the chain code, doesn't it say that the armor before Django was for Jaster, or like the Jaster Morel, right? I think that was in there. I need to look that up real quick, but I'm pretty sure because that's going to be one of the big things too. If Boba goes back, that could very easily finally give us the full fledged answer of is Django an actual Mandalorian? Because he doesn't look like Mandalorians. Are Mandalorians just these blonde white people? It looks like there are a
well,
lot of that.
Mandalorians are supposed to be
All yeah,
anything,
any
any
race, any
races, because
creed,
it's a culture, not a species.
right?
So they take anyone. There's no race. They don't care about race or gender.
Yeah,
There's no gender roles. The females are just as into warrior culture as the males are. Um, yeah, I mean, some of it might have been lost during the Clone Wars because you kind of see that. Um, but the original idea of the culture, yeah, they're all
yeah,
warrior. Um, but yeah, and also for I don't know if you're aware of this because we got kind of a different idea with. I agree. Uh,
yeah.
we do need more non-human Mandos. But if you're wondering, we got used to the Mandalorian, and we see him take blaster rounds, and we go to the next season, we see all these new Mandalorians,
Mm-hmm.
and they start getting shot and die. It's because most of them, it's very, very uncommon to have that rich uh, of the metal in there.
Yeah, pure
Uh,
Beskar.
because typically they don't make it that pure because it's typically diluted because it's so rare. It's
Yeah.
extremely rare, and so most of the people we'll probably see will not tank the blaster rounds up. So you'll probably see Mandalorians die from a couple shots,
Yeah.
because it's either mostly Durasteel, very little or no Beskar, or some might have a little, so they may take a couple shots, but yeah, they're not gonna be as in that idea of the blaster bolts deflecting off Beskar. That's always been kind of the hypothetical route. Even in extended universe, we never really see it. That's the
Mm-hmm.
whole purpose of them using Beskar, but nobody's spent that much Beskar where it actually does work that way.
Yeah. I looked it up too, and it does say Mentor Jaster in that chain code. So yeah, we could maybe then finally get at least Boba Fett and Jango Fett's like origin. Even though Boba Fett is a clone, so I can understand the argument against him being a Mandalorian. But it'd be awesome because if they make the open seasons comics canon, I need to hurry up and get a set of those so they don't like quadruple in price.
I doubt we'll see too much of it, to be honest.
Hmm.
I feel like Boba Fett is really just kind of a sub character at this point now.
Yeah,
Um, I think he's just there to kind of support Din Djarin. It's like, hey, look, we're even adding Boba Fett to enforce that he's, gonna be
he's gonna be
Mandalore.
Mandalore. Yeah, Boba Fett's like, I'll support this guy. I don't care about the title he has, but I'll support him. Just
And
says
that's
we
more
need more
for the
non-human
fans. Yeah.
Mandos. Yeah, we definitely need more non-human Mandos. I would like, oh, dude, Wookiee Mandos. I've seen a few of those. Those are awesome. I've also seen like an Ewok Mando that was hilarious. Loved it.
My
Twi'lek
favorite
Mando.
Mandalorian design. I've seen a couple that when I was part of the Mandalorian works,
Hmm.
when somebody did the Tortuga,
Oh yeah, Togruta.
the Garuda, yeah, they had the horns and everything in the helmet.
Hmm.
Also, trying to think of
Twi'lek are
the
also really nice because then they'll put like armor down the Liku.
Greedo species. I forget his. I can't think of
Oh,
his name right
Rodian.
now.
Rodian.
I've seen some Rhodian Mandalorians. I've seen, yeah, people do them all the time. It's just
Right.
difficult as a cosplay perspective because some of the races there's parts you can't cover with armor. You want to try to
Hmm.
because you'll do you'll add more latex and stuff, and gets a lot. You're already dealing with a lot of heat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then to kind of go back onto ancient stuff, I think one of the biggest subject matters that I am the most excited for was the announcement that we are going to see another Gendai in the Jedi Survivor series. For those who might not know, the Gendai are an extremely old, long-living race that came from a home planet that has been destroyed for the last few hundred years, so they kind of are like nomadic now. The first Gendai we ever saw was in the Star Wars Tartakovsky, or however that last name is, original Clone Wars series that aired on Cartoon Network. That's Dirge.
Yeah.
Dirge is a Gendai, aka the one of the big bosses you're gonna probably be fighting in Jedi Survivor. You can cut him into 37,000 pieces, and it can't
And
kill
that's
him.
and that's a thought. I wonder if he's going to be kind of a reoccurring villain. Like you
Right.
fight him multiple times.
And maybe he's not like a full villain. He's just working with the main villain, just as like he pays good. Because that's their whole thing is they have a lot of honor and they have a huge creed among them. Like they're very big on if they find a path, they take it. But they are known as the Bedlam Raiders, and if you know anything about Bedlam, it was a prison for the criminally insane in Star Wars. So the Bedlam Raiders are probably a group of absolutely deranged and insane, which would maybe make more sense as to why this guy is working with a bad guy. But it's also kind of cool because like his suit, that the Gendai is wearing this big suit. He has this massive power armor on, and none of that is for actual armor. It is almost entirely to hold together his tentacle body because they're a head and then this giant mass of tentacles underneath, which I think is really cool. But yeah, you can cut them into pieces, they don't die. You can try to blast them, they won't die, burn them. And he is apparently, or a lot of people are rumoring, that he is thousands of years old and may actually be around since before the Jedi Order that we know started. Now, that alone would be amazing. And I'm not going to think that they're going to drop nothing but lore. Like, this guy's just going to constantly be spouting, I remember when the Jedi stood for this and this. I'm pretty sure that's not going to be this character's MO.
Yeah.
But we could get something. It's just the opportunity to have him say one line about like, I remember the Jedi before the Jedi. And then we all lose it. That's all we need. Boom. The Jedi are now canon. Oh my gosh. Everyone freaks out. But having this Gendai be a big villain, and again, like you said, definitely probably reoccurring. So I don't even think they destroyed Dirge in the Clone Wars series. I think he still like lived towards the end of it.
I don't remember what. I know he just stopped adding them. I don't remember
Right.
what happened. I'd have to read on it. It's been a while. Is it?
Right.
It's. I haven't watched the full Clone Wars series.
I haven't watched that one in a very, very long time.
The original one, he had a pretty cool armor.
Okay, yes. By the end of the series, he was force pushed into a star near Maramir by Anakin Skywalker, which he was truly killed. So that makes sense. You push him into a star, that'll probably get him.
We'll see.
But yeah, we'll see. Who knows? Maybe not. But that's the thing with the whole the Gendai species. If his head and pretty much his body bits remain, he'll be back. He'll just regrow or reattach.
Die, though.
Yeah, that's a hell of a way to finally be finished off. Anti Superman, just thrown into a star.
We do get some footage as well from the game. We
get
some combat footage. We get some just gameplay.
Dismemberment. I don't know if it was a mod or what, but we saw a scout trooper that did not have a leg. That would be so cool.
Updated engine, maybe.
Yeah. And then the Bedlam Raiders are the ones who are using the Separatist clones. They are the ones that have gotten them. So we are definitely getting B1 battle droids, super battle droids, droidicas, and commando droids. Those are definitely all going to be in the game. I think the commando droids are going to be really awesome because they're going to do a lot of really cool fighting, and the droidicas. I love the destroyer droid.
We also get the they call them like police droids or something. They get the one from Andor.
Okay.
The tall lanky guys.
Yeah.
Also in it too. The new Imperial policing droid. I don't know what the term they call it something, but that's also in
correctional droid or something like that.
Yeah. It's the Andor's sidekick that he uses.
K2SO.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a lot of probably droid fighting, and then I would imagine the actual Bedlam Raiders are going to be more like mid tier boss, high tier boss, and then you have the guy all the way up on top. I'm going to need to look up his name real
Well,
quick. I
looking
totally
at the
forgot.
screenshots, we got him pretty early on the
Yeah,
Steam page, and then we got a looks like to be a instead of a Jedi temple almost, because there's the whole Holocron library thing behind them.
yeah.
Um,
Which that'll be
and
fun.
then
Looks like him and Siri are really working really hard to like pull together a lot of stuff. Even though he didn't go out and take all those children in, he's still gonna, if his whole point was if they find us, then the Force will have brought them in, and then it's supposed to happen. Um,
we
but again, I
also
just want something, just some lore. Just give us something.
we get some combat footage.
Yeah. Oh, and his
We
name
get
is
a little bit
Ravis.
teaser. We get a little teaser of the footage of. We don't actually get to see the saber, but we get to see some of the combat style of the crossguard fighting.
Yeah, which is awesome. So
Um,
cool.
they don't show a ton, but it shows some of the other, and they show how they updated because they wanted to give a variety, is what they were talking about. So we
Mm-hmm.
get, let's say, 5 stances now: single, dual, double bladed, the cross
Cross guard
guard,
and then blaster.
and blaster. And I think they said that you can only switch between two at a time. So I guess you put two that you want to primarily use, and then
Oh, that would make sense.
and yeah, they're talking about how dual bladed now is more of an AOE. Single is just a balanced way of playing. Dual blade is kind of a berserk way of fighting.
Mm-hmm.
It's super fast damage. Apparently, it's a lot more difficult. It's a lot of timing.
Makes
And
sense.
then the blaster's ranged.
Yep.
And then crossguard is
Heavy.
slow, most damage. They said it's hardest to play probably.
Hopefully some parrying if
Just
it's going to have that cross guard in there.
almost reminded me of some of the combat with what's kind of popular these days now.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of I guess people call them the soul style
Yes. No, this is
of playing.
which everyone considered Fallen Order to pretty much be the first foyer of Star Wars into a Souls, Bloodborne style gameplay. And they're just kind of really, and good for them. I'm fine with it. They're really diving into it with this one by giving you the chance to have
Yeah.
different styles of fighting, so you can be ranged. Maybe there'll be more
Which
force powers, so you have like people who want to further themselves more in the force than their
I mean,
mastery of the lightsaber.
it makes sense with all the movement and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
it's more compelling in a gameplay perspective because prior to this, we get that with some of the older games, which is just hack and slash.
Oh yeah,
So it's just hack and slash, but with strategy essentially.
I mean Jedi Fallen.
Yeah,
Jedi Academy. As much as I love that game and the combat was amazing, yeah, you literally just smashed the right trigger and moved your sticks around to make them do different attacks until something got through. It looked cool, but you weren't like fully planning everything. You might like be like, oh, he's behind me, but yeah. And in the first game, it was the same thing. You just run up, mash, 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 mash. Oh, he's trying to hit me. Okay, dodge or parry. Mash, 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 mash.
and if you're into it, they have 2 editions now and a pre-order bonus. So if you want,
Oh.
extra skins for your character, it can look like Han Solo or Luke Skywalker. You can get Han Solo's blaster or Luke's lightsaber
Which
or
that's like
Obi-Wan's lightsaber.
I would prefer original stuff, honestly. Like
Yeah,
as much as I understand what they're trying to do, it's like no, give us something original. Like
I
in the
mean,
first one, you got a orange lightsaber blade, and you had the Umbaran and the Magito campaign skins for your saber, and you could only get those through pre-order. I
having
don't
it a
want to look like
pre-order
Obi-Wan. I don't want to
is
look like Luke.
interesting. It's interesting they did that, but I think it's very strange
Mm-hmm.
because how would he get a saber that looks like that?
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I think it should be unique. I mean, you already had a pretty unique saber in the first one
yeah. I'm a little worried.
by his kind of vanilla saber, which
Yeah.
is
No, I'm just a little worried though. What if are they going to take away the customization? Because they didn't talk about it at all. They talked about
I
so many other things, but like they always
I
just
don't
show
think
the blue
so.
lightsaber.
I don't think so because, like I said, you looking at the pre-orders, there's skins for them.
True.
It says Hermit lightsaber set.
Oh,
Says
set. Okay, so you can mix and
Rebel
match.
hero lightsaber set. It even says DL44 blaster set. So maybe you can mod the blaster as well.
That'd be actually really cool if you could mod the blaster too. Really have your own personal handgun.
Because
that'd be
why would they
awesome.
say set if it's
Yeah.
just the one skin?
Well, because
Like not
it could be the
a
skin for the
set of
weapon. Yeah.
skins. That's what I'm
Weapon,
thinking.
clothing, lightsaber.
Well, no, the clothing's called something
Oh,
different because they have the
hey, there we
Rebel
go.
Hero. So it's
There we
Rebel
go.
Hero cosmetic and then Rebel Hero lightsaber set.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that sounds way better. That gives me hope again. I was a little worried for a second, like, man, please don't take away the customization. I loved having a purple, green lightsaber whenever I just wanted to choose differently or something.
And they also have BD1 skin still, but no
Yeah.
ship skins. So if you like that in the first one,
Oh, yeah, I loved the bounty hunter skin I got for mine. It had this nice like blue and green color to it. I like the Mantis. I think the Mantis is a really cool ship. Sucks it looks like it gets wrecked.
I wonder
But
if we might end up with a different ship in this one.
yeah, well, we don't even see the pilot of the Mantis, the four-armed
Well, and they're
good
also
friend.
they're talking. I think they mentioned too is they changed a lot about how fast travel works in this one too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's a lot more, I guess, streamlined.
Hmm. I could see that. I don't even think I use because it wasn't so much fast travel in the other one. It was just they had the shortcuts, which is also
Yeah,
very Dark Souls. It's very
yeah,
Soulsborne style of instead of them just letting you fast travel around, you just have these quick little shortcuts throughout the map. Um, Grease, that was his name. Yeah, Grease is the pilot of the Mantis, the Stinga Mantis. But if they're gonna do more fast travel in this one, I feel like it's because the combat's gonna stay very Souls-like, but the gameplay might be taking on more of a RPG wider feel.
well, yeah. Well, maybe that means they're making the maps bigger.
Right. So you don't
So
have the option to just run around. You need to fast travel, or else unless you want to, that way you can just claim experience
yeah,
points
it's
by
always optional.
re-killing. Yeah. And that's one of the things I kind of liked about that game is you really could just grind out and then be almost like overpowered and just like level up all your stuff that was unlocked and then go through. But I never really did it because I feel like the last campaign had a very good pacing for the story and leveling. So as long as you wiped out everyone in your way, you were the level you kind of needed to be. But
Yeah.
you got to rest a lot, and that kind of reset every. But yeah.
Oh, I also remember. I think now that you mentioned grinding out, they did say that each combat style will have its own skill tree. So you will have
Ooh.
to.
Yep.
Like, I don't think you'll be able to max out all of it. So you'll probably commit to a couple styles, and that's what you'll use.
Not a bad idea because that will generate a lot more replayability.
Yeah.
But knowing me, I'm going to be going big, heavy crossguard saber and two sabers.
Well, that's also going with the whole kind of the soul style of playing, where because you have so many different weapon types, you have the
Yeah.
magic, the bows, and everything, and so it's nice that they added more. You know, we are a Jedi, but given some variety.
Hmm.
Um,
But it makes sense because you have again like you said single blade which is balanced, uh, single or like saber staff kind of style esque dual bladed saber which is more aggressive and AOE. But then there is two sabers which is ultimate aggression, fast, not as much damage maybe, but just way faster. And then you have the claymore, ginormous, heavy attack, swing slow. So yeah, that will give a lot better vary to fighting style because I think in Fallen Order, once I got the double saber, I don't ever use anything else.
well, I like the saber, the crossguard saber though, because
Hmm.
it's akin to real longsword
Yeah.
throw. If you ever throw your longsword, which is the overhand,
Hmm.
dumb to do, but if you ever need to do it, that's there's they they wrote basically for everything. They throwing pommels to.
Right.
So well, it's nice that they did it that way instead of trying to throw it. It would be kind of crazy. Probably lose a hand that way.
I'm also curious to
Um,
see how they're going to explain why it feels heavier or slower when you activate the bigger blade with the. I wonder if they're going to like pull off it's because of the power drainage, it's because of like how much energy is coming out of the lightsaber now.
well, we know that lightsabers do have weight
Yeah.
though, so maybe it's just when it's got just that much energy output. It causes that much more. They haven't really said what
Right.
really causes the weight. It's just kind of like your emotions and everything.
Hmm.
So I guess the longer that's probably why nobody usually carries that long extended blades is because maybe it just draws more of that your emotion part to it.
Right.
So it essentially makes it heavy. The
More
bigger and
aggressive
longer the
and
blade.
yeah.
Um, yeah. The only thing I think they should have added, I think it would be interesting stance and go back to the kind of Souls play because they have a fighting style that is a magic caster, so that'd be
Hmm.
cool. That'd be cool if they did just a force stance.
Oh, I would love that because if they're gonna have every weapon have its own skill tree, then I hope, yeah, I'm sure the Force will have its own. But and
But
we've
it's
already seen
not
like
list. It's not listed, sadly, but that
right.
would be cool. Man.
Because I mean, we've already seen him like slow down everyone, grab a droid, literally put them in front of the blaster bolts, and it kill the droid that he's like shoving into friendly fire. So
Yeah,
it's definitely a part of it, but I want it to, yeah, it could be a much bigger part.
that would be cool. I mean, somebody could probably mod it if they really want to do it. You could have like your primary attacks being
Hmm.
small, fast force pushes, or it could just be lightning. You could switch it up to what your main attack would be,
Yeah,
and then you could have like a wheel of more. The central, I guess, the advantage of it would be, disadvantage is you would drain your force pretty quickly.
right.
Advantage would be you probably have access to more variety of force powers because you won't have your button layouts for your sabers, and then you have range, so you have it also
And
might be
yeah,
stronger because you're just using the force.
yeah. Um, I know a lot of people say that kind of in Dark Souls how yeah, mage casters once you get to a certain level you just can't be beaten, but
It's
and
the
it
same
would
with the
make
force.
sense. Yeah, it makes
Yeah,
sense. But Cal's a lot older now. Not a lot, but like he's older. He's had time around. He's been studying things with Seer more than likely. But whatever's going on, he really should be more attuned to the Force, have more power. He shouldn't still just be doing the simple push pull. I mean, he but then again, Jedi don't
I'm
really
sure we're
have
gonna
that much more.
I'm
Besides,
sure
like
we're gonna see that, but yeah.
yeah, the Jedi really don't have that because they're not offensive. They're defensive when it comes to their Force powers mostly. I'm excited for lore and to see Marin. Hopefully, we get to see Marin. I haven't heard any news about her whatsoever. I hope they don't kill her off because that would literally be the last Dathomirian witch.
We're for sure gonna see a ton of lore. There's
Yeah,
there's no way they can't. I mean, the first one had quite a bit.
true.
We we're gonna definitely see more of
Think
that.
we're gonna do anything more with the Zepho, or it's gonna move on entirely?
I mean, since it was kind of a almost a big drop in the first, but like they made it so they kind of built it up.
Mm-hmm.
I would see that. I don't see why they wouldn't just kind of follow along with it. I mean, he's still got to learn the force.
Yeah, but at least
You
it
can get
was in
strong
finished
because you can
story.
get stronger in the force, but if nobody teaches you what to do,
Mm-hmm.
and since there's not any Jedi to really teach him too much, um, and maybe that's the way he learns other techniques, or he learns like Force Lightning, the more advanced, like really
Yeah.
heavy Force stuff is from old Zepho stuff. So,
But there are also other Force cults. He could run into
yeah,
all kinds of other Force religions and things that could
or
have their own.
Force cult hiding as pretending to be a Zepho temple, or I guess
Right.
A Zepho temple was actually Sith temple.
And that's how we get like another like the big bad setup for the next game. It's like the last kind of screenshot. Because again, we have no news though about the blue guy from the back to tank. He is still a complete enigma, aside from the fact that he is working with the Jedi and he is working with the Bedlam Raiders, or at least we've seen them in talk in the part of the preview. So it could very well be that this guy could also be really old. That was a lot of people were thinking because he dresses almost High Republic looking. How old is this other guy that came out of the back to tank due to the way he dresses? And if he's hanging out with a Gendai that's thousands of years old, that could really cement that this guy is also an extremely old creature that's been around for a very long time. And that alone, I mean, he doesn't like the Jedi, so we could get more into like why the Jedi are the way they are now, and like maybe there was a great war or something from the Jedi of old that against
Yeah,
these very
it
marauder people.
it would fit more the old Republic. I don't see them doing anything High Republic based.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we'll see anything High Republic related until it gets its own kind of game.
Yeah,
I doubt they'll put it in this. I could see them doing something with the old Republic though.
yeah, very easily.
Not much, yeah.
Because if he's not just a thousand, if he's thousands of years old, the Old Republic stuff, all of the like Revan and all those things, those are like what 36 something like that BBY. They're not like crazy long ago, but the Old Republic it's a long time. Thousands of years sounds like long time to us, but not to like half of the species apparently in the Star Wars galaxy. Hutts live super long. Wookiees live for hundreds of years. Gendai live for thousands. Yoda species lives to be like 900.
Yeah, I don't think we ever fully know how long the because we only know the one,
Yeah,
and the other one dies too early.
right. But then there's like the Gree, which are a species that are so old they're from the actual like beginnings of the galaxy. They just don't remember because they've been around so long. And
And also isn't the is the Bendu the old Force
yeah,
users?
the
They're also
Bindu,
very old too.
extremely old, like since the dawn of time, kind of old, just chilling in the forest doing their
Like,
Bindu thing.
they just basically spend their entire existence meditating. It's
Right,
not like
exactly. Just contemplating balance and being a Bindu, whatever that is, whatever it
exist.
entails.
Balance is apparently meaning just to breathe and exist because yeah, you don't you get you don't interfere.
Right, exactly. No, I'm very excited for the potential of us getting like so many really awesome drops. I did not, as much as I would love for them to just hit us one after another, after another, after another. I don't see that happening.
I mean,
I'll
we're
be a
probably
little
gonna get
optimistic, but
more since it was delayed.
yeah.
Because they're gonna have to do something to kind of appease the because we're impatient people.
Oh yeah.
So I'm sure they're gonna do some more. I mean, we already got some gameplay drop, so there's gonna be more. But yeah, we'll probably go for the next month. We'll probably get one or two drops,
hmm
and then we'll have to wait till the end of April,
I need
essentially.
to. I really need to keep back into my Let's Play. Finish up Fallen Order before I get back into the other one.
Yeah,
I remember
I
most of it, but I'm
I
just.
don't. It's been a while since the first one came out. I
Yeah, no, it
tried
has.
replaying it. I replayed it. I got past the first planet.
hmm
When you go and you find the first Civil Temple, and
Yeah.
I did all that, and then something came up, and I just haven't gotten back. So
Right.
I
We
need to actually go
moved.
back.
That was our thing. We moved. That was like the last thing I did at the old place before moving was another episode. I think I may have done one here. I have not. I've been
Especially,
filming and
so I'd probably miss all the big lore drops. So yeah,
yeah. Yeah, I need to. If nothing else, though, at least it's like an easy compromise. Like it's an easy game to digest if you read the synopsis and things. Like Cal Kestis, Padawan of Geralt de Paul, uh, potential love interest of Marin. Who knows?
I know what's probably gonna happen. I'm probably gonna wait till the last second. I'll probably end up rushing through it on easy mode just to get all the lore,
Oh yeah.
just so I could play the second one. I don't know. We'll see.
And not to mention,
But
I need to get back into it because I love the fights, like especially the fights with like the second sister.
I need to
So good.
practice because when I went back to it, I was not as good. I played it in the
hmm
hardest difficulty, and I was horrible. I
Yes,
couldn't
no,
remember how
it's
to play.
yeah, it is definitely a game you have to get back into. Like just the fact that I've taken like a month or so off from playing, I already know I'm gonna be so horrible for the first like 20 minutes of gameplay.
It's that style of playing.
hmm That's why I love
We're also
Battlefront so much. You just pick up the controller and pull the trigger and shoot people. It's great. It's
we're
easy.
also getting older. We're not as quick as we were.
These whippersnappers in their
I remember back in
Twitch.
the day when they added the shoulder buttons. That was a big deal. And
Oh
it was
yeah,
joysticks on your controller.
two joysticks. What the heck? Two joysticks? I remember when it was four buttons and a D-pad.
And it was a tiny little square in your hand.
Right. Sadly, the one joystick with the one button, I am not that
Yeah.
old. Not that old.
No, not that old. I'm NES old.
Right,
I
yeah.
think so.
Yep.
I think it's the earliest system I had was the NES.
Yep.
Well, I
NES
didn't
and
have it.
the Super
I was that
Nintendo.
rich.
Oh, yeah, I had a Super Nintendo because my mom loved Dr. Mario. None of the other Mario games. She loved
If,
Dr.
if
Mario.
if you count the Game Boy, that was my first system. But if you
I can
don't,
see
it
that.
was the PS1.
Oh, that was my first real big one we got. That I put in my room was the PS1.
I
A
got
lot of
all the storage
amazing.
games.
I was actually going through a vintage stock where I pick up my comics, and I was looking at all these old PS1 and PS2 Star Wars games, and I remember them so fondly. Like the old Xbox Obi-Wan game, so good. The Episode 3 PlayStation 2 game where you could be Anakin and beat Obi-Wan and then kill the Emperor, so good.
You know, age doesn't matter if you play a lot. So
Yeah.
uh, that's only my excuse. I'm rating. She said Talking
No,
about grandmas play games.
true, true, true.
Do they play it well though? That's also
Yeah, he has a grandma playing Skyrim right now, I believe. A big streamer.
is she still doing it?
I
I
have
know that
no
was a big
idea.
thing for a while.
I know I definitely though want to get back into it. Also though, you recently were nice enough to give me a code for the second Jedi
Oh yeah,
Academy, or not Jedi Academy, but yeah, Jedi
no, it was
Outcast,
yeah, Jedi
Jedi Knight, Jedi Outcast.
Jedi
Yeah, there we
Knight
go.
2, Jedi Outcast, yeah.
So I'll have to definitely play through that. I actually have a video coming up, just like a little teaser for you guys, talking about some of the big clickbaity characters and things like that, and talk about Kyle Katarn a little bit in that. So maybe I'll do a let's play after that video drops, so you guys can actually see
Yeah,
who
he
the
was
hell
the
Kyle Katarn is.
he's the OG, Jedi Survivor, the OG, all these,
Yeah,
your OG and or OG. He was basically his character was like a combination of Han Solo and Luke Skywalker.
yeah,
He had the cool attitude of Han Solo because they always have that type of character. But
right.
he also, he was force sensitive and became, which wasn't the original idea. I believe the second one is when they kind of dip into the Jedi
Yeah,
aspect.
because the first one is what, Dark Forces,
Yeah,
and
and
that's
it's
just Doom.
yeah.
That's just the OG Doom. You just run
His
around.
character is essentially he's a just an agent that the first level you go on the Death Star and you retrieve the Death Star plans.
Right.
Um, and then this you just move from there, the different missions, working for the Rebel Alliance.
Yep.
Um,
Which that'll be a
but
cool thing
yeah,
to see how they're gonna do with Cal. Is he gonna run into any like? It seems the Remnant. At least he's not really running into Remnant anymore. He's just only running into these Raiders. It seems. I mean, he's gonna have a little bit of Remnant because we saw him fighting some troopers, but at the same time, maybe that was just for gameplay tests because a lot of those gameplay tests sometimes aren't always like gameplay from a level. Sometimes it's just like, no, we opened the engine, we put you in a super secret room with super secret
yeah.
models, and he's fighting
I'm sure there's
those.
gonna be troopers, but I assume we're gonna see more droids if anything.
Yeah, I'm
That's what I
assuming
assume
that.
the main bad guys were gonna be droids.
Which I like the paint jobs too. Speaking of like new paint jobs, kind of like with Bad Batch and
Yeah.
stuff, but these new droids with the red and the white and grayish paint look really cool. I really, or like just like bluish, but I think there's probably gonna be classes to them too. Like different planets might have different types of droids that use different things. They're
They
definitely
announced
making it
like
bigger.
9 different variants of droids, so yeah,
Yeah,
we're definitely gonna see them.
which I'm down for. I think, oh, these droids, you don't want to use melee on as much. Like, trust me, you want to try and freeze them and use the force or something. Or these
I
guys over
mean,
here are more. They're better at if you shoot their own blasters back at them, they'll get hit harder.
it's not as satisfying for the dismemberment part, but it
Yeah,
looks a lot better in the engine because you can do a lot more pieces.
and sparks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you don't get as bad of a rating because there's no blood and gore. Which thankfully there's none in Star Wars anyway because it cauterizes the wound. So that was like the easiest little loophole there. It's like, no, there is no blood. Don't worry. There's very little blood in Star Wars. Unless you watch A
That's
New
why
Hope.
the bad guys wear so much armor. They
Hmm.
try to so you don't see the blood as much. It's
Yeah.
hidden. Don't
Unless
see
you're
it
in
as
A New
much.
Hope. For some reason, in A New Hope, apparently Obi-Wan had his lightsaber power turned way down. And when he cut off that one dude's arm, it was a bloody mess on the ground. That's the only time that ever happened.
Oh,
Every other,
the
yeah,
bar scene.
yeah, the bar scene with Pigface and whatever Walrus guy, whatever that dude was. Can never remember his name,
I think
Doctor something.
they're called an Aquilish, I think.
Yeah,
Something like
Aquilish. There we go, Aquilish. That's the only time we've ever seen a taken off a dismemberment, which led to actual visible blood. Everything else has just been that nice cauterized, the classic Luke and Anakin vibe.
Well, I like the joke where I think it's Robot Chicken where they have that scene where he's like trying to talk to him. He's like, "Hey, how are you?" And he's like, and his voice says, "We don't like you." He's like, "No, that's not what I said at all."
Yeah, yeah.
And he starts to fight. He's like, "Why are you saying that?" He gets his arm cut off. Why me?
I absolutely love that one. I think Robot Chicken. For anyone out there who wasn't a teenager to early 20s in the like early 2000s, go back and watch the Adult Swim or Robot Chicken Star
Well, they
Wars
have
specials. They're
well,
hilarious.
they have a whole movie,
Yeah,
Star Wars movie. It's all, and the whole show is essentially Seth Green, which
just
used
yeah,
to have the largest Star Wars collection, action figure Star Wars collection. I don't think he does anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He had one of the largest action figure collections, and he was like one of the largest Star Wars action figure collections.
Yeah.
Essentially, he just uses action figures, played with them. Essentially, that
You're
was the
right.
show. It was funny. You know,
It's
he
such a
just
good time. I love it when there's the scenes with like Boba Fett in the Sarlacc pit and stuff. There are so many amazing scenes
yeah.
from the Robot Chicken Star Wars, and Seth Green knows his Star Wars. He knows it, just like a lot of us other fans.
It's so funny how you could get away with it because I guess because it's the action figures, but
Right,
you don't want to
parody.
say what we're thinking.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. The movie I watched so many times.
Mm-hmm.
The Star Wars Robot Chicken movie, and it follows the storyline of basically Gary the stormtrooper.
Yeah, yeah.
He's a recurring character. It's yeah.
No, there
Like
there is.
he gets a job where he's like he's on the Death Star, and then one of the guys goes to the bathroom, and he's piloting the Death Star, and he almost rams into another planet. It's because he didn't know how to use it.
It's one of those things you kind of forget about that the Death Star was like it was still a ship. It moved through space. It had a hyperdrive in it. Like it could go faster than light. It was
It had to have
crazy.
a good engine because
It had to
if
have
we
like
get too
20
close to
engines.
if we get too close to us because the mass is so big. If we
Mm-hmm.
get too close to a large planet or a sun, the gravitational pull could really suck you in. I mean, it won't necessarily suck you in per se, but it will throw you in orbit.
Or
Or
throw off the planet if it's smaller.
I mean, I guess you would need a strong thruster, but you wouldn't necessarily need it continuing because, like
Mm-hmm.
you said, you could maneuver. That would be probably and that's kind of how they did it. And
Yeah.
when we
Well,
see the third,
trying not to
Return of the
put
Jedi.
trying not to put too much
Go
Star
ahead, go ahead.
Wars or too much science in Star Wars. I feel like, don't you think though, like just for funsies, if our universal stuff existed in their galaxy, the ways we view laws of physics, the Death Star simply just being in orbit around the sun of Yavin, shouldn't that have thrown off the little moon of Yavin's orbit? Like they could have just done that.
Um,
They didn't even need to blow up Yavin. They just needed to move closer to it, pull it out of orbit, and like throw it into deep space where it froze to death.
if it was heavy enough to pull it off, because that was the moon of Yavin
Yeah.
that was on. I think it was still smaller than Yavin, so they were using the pool of Yavin, not the sun. So they were kind of rotating around it, if I
Okay.
remember correctly. And that would be the way to do it. Is you would just because like I said that would because it's so massive, you would just basically kind of navigate between orbits
Yeah, I
and
think
just
what
kind of
Yavin is
use the
like
orb to
a
launch itself.
Yavin is a gas giant, and yeah, they were using Yavin
Yeah,
to move
it was
around.
like Yavin 4, and that was the moon that the base was on.
Yeah. So yeah, they're going around it trying to get to the moon, getting it clear. But it's cool to think about. I love the fact that they don't do full science in Star Wars, but it's just one of the easiest things to be like, but what about? I mean, hey,
I mean,
Darth Maul also got cut in half and lived because he was mean and angry.
there is some science, but there's also, some of the stuff that makes sense. But I guess, when you have a different origin society,
Right.
you'd still think that they were smart enough to put handrails and stuff. Apparently not. They still haven't figured that out.
There's no OSHA in Star Wars. There's no such thing. There's no safety guidelines.
Those poor engineers on
Right.
the
Uh,
Death Star blaster deck or
mhm.
whatever.
As much as I love Dolores and that character that amazing cosplayer has made with the Death Star HR, love Dolores, but sadly, uh, even if Dolores, the HR lady, did exist full canon, her hands were tied in many a situation. I love that one where she's talking like, can we just get a rail? Like we just need a rail by the firing station. Ooh, that's not really in our parameters right now.
It would be an officer that would either be a huge jerk,
Yeah.
or it'd be an officer that's just so overwhelmed that they can't.
Right.
You just like they're all over the place.
You want what, dude? I'm trying to lead like 5 battalions. 6 dudes have died. I think the death. I don't know what's going on. Vader force choked my buddy yesterday to death.
I think a funny joke would be stormtroopers go to HR and it's Jar Jar Binks.
That's how yeah, they put him in HR. That's why nothing ever gets done. There's no safety rails.
Palpa promoted me. Palpy. He's working for Palpy, like
That
he
would
was
be
before, and
that would be so funny. That would be
promotes
so
him to
funny.
HR on the Death Star, and he doesn't realize
Wow.
what he's on.
Right, exactly. Doesn't
He's
have, he
just
has
a
no idea.
bumbling fool, and that's why nothing. That's why they get no benefits or anything because HR is Jar Jar.
Right. I really do think though, yeah. So Mandalorian, can't wait. Less than a few weeks away, guys. Let's go. We're gonna get Mandalore. We're gonna get Mandalorian lore. We're gonna. That's a really hard to say. I'm happy that came out correctly. I'm
And
really
how
hoping
is
that what we see in that one trailer is a. Why do I always forget names when I try
have
to
we
bring
gotten
it
an
up?
episode list for Mando yet?
No, I don't think we have. Did we get?
Because
Was it
I
the director list that we got? We got a list of something.
yeah,
Yeah, we got a list of directors.
so I wonder because we're gonna get the series is gonna end really close to when Jedi Survivor comes
Yeah.
out. So
Right.
and
No, I am really. Did they push it back for that? Ooh, no, they didn't. They wouldn't have announced the
oh.
original date if they were going to do that.
And then we got
Excuse me.
Ahsoka supposed to come out this year as well. We don't have a final date, but we'll probably get it at Celebration in
Right.
Europe.
Right.
We'll
Hopefully, a
probably
date
see
for
the
Acolyte.
trailer because they have, I think filming's already done, so probably get a
Yeah.
trailer. We will get Skeleton Crew, which will probably be later, probably fall-ish, I imagine. So we'll probably get
Yeah.
something about that.
And then just a date
Um,
for Acolyte or something, please. I need to know more.
I imagine Acolyte's probably going to be next year, probably early next year.
You think? They push a lot of things back, so I could see that. But it was originally slated for the end of this year.
Yeah, I imagine it's probably like like Andor was for us,
Mm-hmm.
or like early January or something.
Man, come on, Star Wars. Hasbro and the Black Series and the Vintage Collection, their pre-orders drop earlier, and like that's the worst thing. You try to set budgeting aside, and all of a sudden these pre-orders come out you weren't ready for, and then the TV shows are constantly pushed back.
Well, I hate the pre-orders, but they do it so far out. Sometimes they do it
Yeah,
over a year out for their pre-orders.
they're
I have
they're actually canceling a lot. They're not doing pre-orders for a lot of these newer figures that are dropping in the next season.
I don't cancel my helmet. I have that. I have the Clone Wars helmet, the clone helmet
Yeah,
pre-order.
yeah. I'm waiting for the TVC Return of the Jedi Vader, which has removed helmet, offhand, and all that cool stuff. And then of course Malgus, Bastila, and Malik. The Malgus one hasn't even been shown yet, but it's a deluxe, so I'm gonna get it.
Yeah,
I'm so stoked for that.
yeah. I'm glad they're bringing the deluxe out.
Hmm.
Getting more detail. Almost skirting in the getting into what's that product called? Because you have the sideshow and then you have their
Hot
cheaper
toys.
version. Yeah, Hot Toys.
See, and that's my
That
problem though. If they keep charging, if they start charging like $50 for a freaking Black Series figure, I might as well just go to Hot Toys because they're better.
I almost one time dropped several $100s for a sideshow. I think the one
Sideshow is
very
so
close,
good.
very close to dropping was, but I missed it. They sold out when I finally convinced myself to do
Hmm.
it, which was um trying to think of his name. I can't think of it. The bounty hunter with the cowboy hat.
Oh, Cad Bane.
He had Bane, but it was him disguised as a clone trooper.
Oh, okay.
You get the full clone trooper, his outfit, and then you could like switch his head out in other parts.
Hmm.
Yeah, sideshows like the apex of Star
Dude,
Wars figures,
I've seen it. Like they have so many amazing figures that are
and then
just
they have
so good.
and then sometimes they'll drop the full life size, which is essentially just a cosplay but a statue. You could actually
Right.
because I know they did the Darth Vader and the Boba Fett, where I believe the Boba Fett was a full on. They had some of the dented helmet people, which is the if you don't know they're the elite Boba Fett. They barely focus canon Mandalorian people like Boba Fett, Jango Fett, and they go. They're more stricter than 501st is. They go
Yeah.
full on screen accurate, and they had some of those guys because those guys they bring it down to a science.
Right.
They literally go to museums and they study small pieces or they try to pull connections to LucasArts to
Yep.
get old. Like what did they use originally? They use all original
Right. What
things.
was in the like they care they don't even care like the pockets are all right, but no, what was
Yeah.
in the pockets? We need to make sure the pockets bulge correctly.
Yeah, I know some of the guys were getting the original things they made with the tools and his ankle pockets, his
Yep.
getting the original World War II flare guns to make the blaster, stuff like that.
Yeah.
They go insane. And They had real people, and it was a real costume, but it was like sold as a statue. But
Yeah, one of these days I'll have, once the channel grows and we're all just having a great time, guys, I'll be able to start reviewing some sideshow stuff. Until then, I got my Black Series reviews up, comic reviews coming out right and left at you. Um, Sadly, I didn't have internet yesterday because of a freak ice storm, but I got gonna do Vader comic rewind from 1 to 30. I got a
there's been a
clickbait.
lot of comic drops.
Oh, there are so many comics out right now. It's been almost hard to keep up, but I'm doing my best. The Star Wars main run is coming in, and they're like in Nihil, no space. It's everything's like tying together, all weird. I love it, but it's a lot to take in at once. I got a lot of comics I'm covering, and a lot more coming out. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. This was another amazing episode of House of Holocrons. Again, Jedi lore from Jedi Survivor, please. Mando coming out in less than 2 weeks. Bad Batch felt short, but I feel like it'll probably round itself out in the next few episodes. Things are definitely gonna start picking up. Good analogy though. A bottle episode. I could totally see that with this. This is entirely about them just building on each other's character development. And we hope you enjoyed the episode. We hope you have an amazing rest of your day. And as always, may the Force serve you well.
May the force be with you.